carpenter from Madhya Pradesh handed a bag of grenades on a Punjab highway. A college student from Fazilka told to build a petrol bomb for just 200 rupees worth of fuel. A serving army soldier allegedly training recruits in handling hand grenades. All of them, investigators say, were working for one man operating thousands of kilometers away. Hello and welcome to Deep Dive. In this episode, we talk about the man behind India's most sprawling new terror network, Shehzad Bhatti. Bhatti is a native of Bahawalnagar in Pakistan's Punjab province, and his story begins not as a jihadi ideologue but as a street criminal. Investigators trace his rise to a gang in Rawalpindi where he faced cases for street crime. After a crackdown by Punjab police in Pakistan around 2015, he fled to the UAE and dabbled in small businesses. He is said to have lived since in Portugal and Mexico, and according to reports, he is now based in Brazil. The twist is that Bhatti is still wanted by police back home in Pakistan, which means he cannot even return. Sources say that exactly is what made him useful to the ISI. A man with nowhere else to go turned into an asset to run a low-cost, dependable war against India. So how does a gangster sitting in South America pull off grenade attacks on police stations in Punjab? Well, his modus operandi is completely different from the handlers we've seen before. Reports suggest Bhatti doesn't indoctrinate a handful of people for one big attack. Instead, he's built an army of hundreds of young, often financially desperate men recruited through his online presence on platforms like Instagram. The pitch is simple: a few thousand rupees and the promise of a foreign visa. And the goal, investigators say, is not mass casualty terror. It's to keep challenging India's law and order machinery, attack after attack, to feed his own propaganda. The targets follow a pattern: police stations, border checkposts, and establishment links to security forces, mostly in Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, and Uttar Pradesh. After every strike, responsibility is claimed not in Bhatti's own name, but through obscure outfits like the Khalistan Liberation Army or the Tehreek-e-Taliban Hindustan. Punjab's own DGP has called these groups non-existent entities. In his words, nothing but stooges of the ISI. And the recruitment stories that have emerged from police interrogations are striking for how ordinary they sound. Take the case of a student in Bathinda. Arrested for a petrol bomb attack on a BJP leader's clinic, he met an intermediary at a wedding, got Bhatti's number, sent him a simple hello on WhatsApp, and weeks later Bhatti replied with a task. The student then pulled in his own friends. Bhatti allegedly deposited 5,000 rupees up front and dangled a promise of up to 10 lakh rupees. The trio bought petrol worth 200 rupees, filled 2 glass bottles, travelled by bus to the target city, and even sent Bhatti recce photos over WhatsApp before carrying out the attack. Now, what's notable is the restraint built into the instructions. Investigators say recruits were often told not to cause loss of life. In the explosion outside the BSF Frontiers headquarters in Jalandhar, for instance, police found no sharp nails or shrapnel in the device. A sign, officers say that the intent was to create fear and disruption, not necessarily mass casualties. It is a calculated strategy. Keep the attacks coming, keep the fear alive without crossing a threshold that could trigger an overwhelming response. Now, this is not a one-off module. The scale of what's been uncovered is enormous. On the 12th of August, just days before Independence Day, security agencies launched a coordinated multi-state operation. And the result was 253 people detained across 14 states, with Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, Delhi and Punjab accounting for the bulk of the arrests. More than 80 FIRs have been registered under the UAPA, the Arms Act and the Explosive Substances Act as well. The recoveries included IEDs, grenades bearing Pakistan Ordnance Factory markings, pistols, live cartridges and CCTV cameras that agency says were being used for espionage. To conduct reconnaissance of police, defence and religious sites. Union Home Minister Amit Shah called it a brilliant example of India's zero tolerance towards terrorism, stating that security forces had ripped apart the network before it could carry out its planned disruptions. But Bhatti's rap sheet goes back well before this crackdown, and it includes some of the most high-profile attacks Punjab has seen in recent years. By official records, Bhatti faced at least 15 cases in Punjab alone, including the targeted killings of police personnel in the border districts of Gurdaspur and Amritsar. In February, an assistant sub-inspector and a home guard were found dead near a checkpost close to the Pakistan border, with a video of the shooting in Bhatti's own voice circulated online. In November last year, a grenade attack on a police station in Gurdaspur was claimed within hours on social media. And in May this year, twin explosions struck near an army cantonment in Amritsar and the BSF's frontier headquarters in Jalandhar. Bhatti's reach even extended to social media personalities. A popular Punjabi YouTuber found a grenade-like metallic object on his balcony in March last year. Bhatti claimed the attack himself, alleging it was because the YouTuber had spoken against Islam. The YouTuber, meanwhile, told police he believed Bhatti wanted him for a live stream collaboration to boost his own online following. 9 people were eventually arrested in that case, including a serving army soldier who investigators say trained the attackers to handle hand grenades. And this is where the network gets even more unsettling. It's allegedly linked to some of India's most wanted gangsters too. Bhatti has allegedly claimed support from Zishan Akhtar, a gangster wanted in the Baba Siddiqui murder plot. He's also claimed in a viral video that jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi orchestrated an attack on him in Portugal. And he later threatened Bishnoi's brother Anmol shortly after his deportation and arrest by the NIA. It is a blurring of lines between organized crime and state-backed terror that investigators say has become Bhatti's signature. What makes Shehzad Bhatti different from the handlers India has faced before is not the scale of destruction, it is the scale of recruitment. A few thousand rupees, a visa promise and a WhatsApp message. That is all taken to pull in hundreds of young men across India's border states. With over 250 detained and 80 plus FIRs filed, agency says they've dealt a network major blow. But Bhatti himself remains free somewhere in South America, and as long as he does, the question security agencies are now asking not if he'll rebuild, but how fast. With us on the broadcast is Major General Sudhakarji, defense and geopolitical expert. So thank you so much for your time and for your patience as we've walked our viewers through the rap sheet as well as the modus operandi of Shehzad Bhatti, who's now recruiting young individuals through social media. And of course asked you before, in this particular age where the nature of espionage and warfare has changed, how crucial is it to monitor social media and such recruitment that is taking place, the challenges that this brings forth. But one thing that is now very evident with this is his modus operandi, not carrying out large-scale attacks that cause mass casualties, but a number of small-scale attacks to instill fear, to instill terror in the minds of people, as well as conducting espionage. What's been done by the government is undoubtedly commendable, and the security agencies as well. But of course, agencies are worried about the fact that how fast will he bounce back, because he's of course operating from a remote location, most likely somewhere in South America. So how can the government, with now this information, counter him and many such others like him that the ISI is grooming?
Yeah, Pia, good evening. Thank you for taking me for your show. In fact, you caught me in the middle of my long travel, so I connected with you on phone up a little while back in the evening. So I'm back home, I'm connecting, trying to respond as much as possible. Now, there is a bigger design in the whole issue. This has to be understood. This is, as per my understanding, the domain experts or the national intelligence agencies would have their interpretation, because they are the ones who are handling the issue and joining the dots. So the larger picture would be understood to him. I, as a freelancer from the open source domain, trying to join the dots. Now, this man has come a long way in a very short time. I think in the afternoon when I got through on phone up, you're mentioning that he was up and about into these kind of activities from 2015. No matter, he has come into prominence in preceding 2 to 3 years. And there is a gang, I would say, rivalry, which is in process. But the whole thing has been given a push and momentum in a calibrated, incremental manner by a nodal agency. That nodal agency has to be understood. It is ISI of Pakistan. And ISI of Pakistan has picked up momentum post abrogation of Article 370 and 35 Alpha. So they have been looking around for people like Bhatti, and Bhatti has done good to study the Indian fault lines, understand the big challenges in the society, the unemployment problem, and the large number of uneducated youth, and the nuances of the social media. So he has taken advantage. To start with, it is some kind of a concept which Muslim Brotherhood started long back in Palestine. Very innocuous, started with charity organization, hospitals, schools, clinics, and by 1987 there was an intifada, and the Palestinians had gone against the Israelis, and the same Palestinians, they were armed and they had Hamas after a couple of years. So the intelligence agency of India, they have done a remarkable and commendable job, and this is called staying ahead of the loop. And staying ahead of the loop is, that means provided you are able to smell the coffee, how it is going to pan out in times ahead, anticipate and penetrate into the system, ecosystem in which he is operating, and get the operative, the sleeper cells. The point that has to be understood is that the 14 states that you mentioned, 85 locations, 14 states, and majority of the states, barring I think Kerala, one is in the south, and Maharashtra, rest all states, they actually cover the northern part of India. You have UP, you have Bihar, you have Haryana, you have Himachal Pradesh, Jammu Kashmir, Punjab, Rajasthan, and such like. Basically, these are the Hindi belts, and whatever deductions we come to, it will come in due course of time. It will be premature to come to any deduction, but the modus operandi is throwing up certain issues. First and foremost issue is that this guy is very clear about the intent. Even if he is not clear about the intent, his handler is very clear about the intent. The intent is to create a destabilization of India and revive the same terrorist environment which was prevailing in India in 90s and early 2001. Number two, they want to actually spread some kind of a call it, for lack of correct expression, I'm saying caliphate. Now that caliphate could comprise of the terrorists of different groups. It is not only Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Toiba, who in any case, they were daggers drawn at some point in time. Jaish-e-Mohammed came into existence simply to counter and contain the LET. When it was going beyond the brief, it started threatening the very military might of Pakistan army. So, but they don't see eye to eye. Of late, they have started overlapping. In fact, they are hand in gloves with Al-Qaeda. So under these circumstances, it is a slow, calibrated, incremental way of penetrating into the grassroots organization of India, in North India particularly, and exception being Telangana towards Andhra Pradesh and Kerala to South India, and Maharashtra to the western part. Rest of, I feel, are part of the northern India. This is how the divide is actually coming out. And in that, he has identified the pockets where all to tackle the people, who are going to be the wolves, who will be the sleeper cells. And he has graduated from social media to a kind of a, I would say, kind of a terrorist activity, to include spying and intelligence gathering, installing cameras at sensitive points, monitoring the activities of the military personnel and the troop mobilization, etc., movement of any large scale, any kind of sensitive equipments moving from place A to place B. Also, he has gone on to identify certain people, for example, in Jalandhar, in Amritsar, or say Ambala, certain places where the blasts have been orchestrated in order to give a message. But there is a very interesting phenomena in all these activities. That phenomena is known as the poster warfare. What is this poster warfare? This man has actually prevailed upon his clients by giving them 5,000, 10,000, whatever money they required, by direct transmission into the bank through the encrypted mode. Now, what is this encrypted mode of transmission? This needs to be decoded by experts. I don't know. I'm only reading from the open sources. By encrypted mode, small amounts does not raise the eyebrows and eyes and the ears, and thus it gets credited into the account. That money, once it goes into the hand of the operative, that man is given a particular task. A printing press, this has to be kept an eye. The printing press in a particular area, he is asked to print with a photograph of Bhatti because he wants to prop himself up as a gangster and spread the name and that fear psychosis in the society. Maybe, for all you know, he was the Robin Hood kind of a personality emerging, throwing up himself, and maybe drawing a parallel with Dawood Ibrahim, maybe. But in times ahead, I would visualize that he was taking this particular process of mobilizing people who are needy, who do not have employment, who do not have livelihood, and exploiting this particular economic divide. He was making them as his clients and giving them easy money, employing them with an assurance that they would be giving the visa facility to go to Middle East and get a job there.
Yes.
So this I have seen, I have been in Middle East. I know how people operate. These are the luring mechanism that takes place, but ultimately they fall prey into the hands of ISI. ISI is the predominant agency which is operating and trying to actually spread all over India in order to not to balkanize, but to create some kind of destabilization, making use of the fault lines of India's socio-economic divide and other diversity that we have. Back to you, Priya.
All right, sir. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time explaining to our viewers your assessment analysis of Shehzad Bhatti's syndicate, how it operates, and of course the modus operandi and the commendable job by security agencies in nabbing these people on the ground.